Good morning, good morning, good morning. Got to fix that up. Good morning, good morning. You can tell that I've had one of those, oh my gosh, it's nearly 8 o'clock, I better go and have a shower moments. So good morning to everyone that's going, oh my gosh, it's Monday again. It's one of those days where I could have had another couple of spots of weekend for myself, and I didn't. I got on. I've actually the reason I feel like I've just walked in the way I have is because I was on Facebook this morning. I was having a bit of a moment of isn't it beautiful, the work that I love doing the work that I do. This morning there was 4 people that I've already been able to encourage and love in some way or another via Facebook or Messenger or something, and support them. So good morning to everyone watching on Facebook, and good morning to everyone that is watching on the webinar. Don't you just love work? Well, you love work when you're doing work you love, right? So let me start this properly. Good morning, Raya. So I hope everyone's had a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I definitely did. Good morning, Anna. I had my half-day workshop on Saturday, and it was just so good. I think I've nailed it. I've nailed the sort of information that I want to share with people, and getting across how to create our reality. So I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Good morning, Dell. And there was a few people on here that I didn't get a chance to say good morning to. If you're on the webinar, I would love for you to say good morning in the webinar and where you're watching from. That would be fantastic. And the same if you're on Facebook. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. And how was your weekend? Did you have a beautiful weekend? I know I did. I spent some of my time, if Tam's on here, I don't think she is at the moment, but some of my time I was learning how to juggle. There's a trick to it. Oh my gosh, it's a bit crazy. So the trick is to move from when you're doing 2, which I was starting to get to quite in a form, to jumping into 3 straight away, because your muscle memory gets used to 2, and getting the 3rd ball to come out of your hand is quite tricky. That's the biggest part, is releasing that 3rd ball. So I can release all 3 balls now. Whether I can catch them all is another thing. It's not, there's been 4 times that I've been able to catch them, not quite with my hands though. And so there's this muscle memory and dexterity thing. It's quite interesting. So had a bit of fun with that. I've worked out that the best way for me to do that is to have music on at the same time. So let's get started with a dose of sunshine. This week we are talking about 5 steps to saying no with love. And as if you've been watching what I'm doing on Facebook, this is the 2nd last dose of sunshine for the year. I will be ceasing the process in December. And so the last 3 I am doing with the PDFs that I have. I have 3 PDFs that I share out with people. And so this is one of them. So 5 steps to saying no with love. If you're registered for the webinar, then you will receive the PDF with this recording. If you're on Facebook Live and you are you haven't registered for the webinar, then say yes down here, webinar or something like that, and we will send you the link so that you can register, and you get to see the slides as well of what I'm talking about, not just me sitting here talking to you. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we will make sure that we give you last week's as well as this week's. So if you're wanting the webinar slides and the PDF, please just put yes please in here and we will get that sorted. Okay, so for those, as I do, this is just the standard thing that you do, right? When you're on a webinar and you just don't know who is on here that is brand new and that you haven't met before. So if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, my name is Elizabeth Eleanor, and I have been a remedial massage therapist and energy healer for 20 plus years. One of these days I'll work it out. And well, actually, oh my gosh, now that I think about it, it must be 23 years that I got my diploma, because my daughter's 26 and she was 3 when I started. So there you go, 23 years that I've been a remedial massage therapist. Maybe 19 to 20 years that I've been doing energy work. It was something that sort of happened to me. And without going into the story, for those that have been on here before and go, oh my gosh, she's talking about herself again. Good morning from Melbourne, Anna. So lovely. I know that Melbourne people feel like they've got a new lease on life because they can actually now go out and explore a little bit further than they were before. So it's like brand new life for them, right? So yeah, so anyway, energy was something that happened to me, and really it was just a coming home. All of us have the opportunity and are energy beings, right? All of us are energy beings, and all of us, our first language is energy, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And so for me, it was just an awakening to who I am. And so there wasn't anything special in it, though it was really exciting. I had some really interesting, fun experiences that are outside the normal day, lifestyle things. I had energies touching me and people talking to me. I was seeing spirits on the side of the road and in people's houses. I would go past bookshops and not see anything, and then go past again, and it'd be all stacked together into like a pyramid, and right on top was this book that was perfect for what I needed at the time. I've had houses and cars that have come to me with synchronicities that is just unbelievable. I've had 3 shooting stars when I needed a confirmation. So much stuff, and it's been so fun along the journey. And now those sort of things sort of still happen. You sort of get used to them being your normal day life, right? So good morning, Cherie. And so yes, it's really interesting going on this journey. I don't know what other people do. No wonder there's so much depression and anxiety in the world, because people are unaware of who they truly are, and they haven't and they're not open to those experiences, and they might be having them, but they can't see them because their blinkers are on, and we're stuck in the 3rd dimension, and so want to see evidence-based stuff, right? And so yeah, so it's been a beautiful journey, a big journey. Through that process, I did 7 years of past life regression with a little group, and just really stripping the identities in myself that were blocking me from really focusing and getting close with myself and my intuition and my higher source. And through that process, discovered that I can do that work myself. I was the only one of it was about 5 of us, and a mentor, and through that process, I was the only one that went on to start doing that process, and then changed it evolved it in my own way into what I call now multidimensional healing. And now I'm moving into a thing called recoding, which is really exciting because it's shifting where we are now, and the sabotage belief systems that we have. So that's something that I can share with you as I go along the journey. So let's start. I've been rambling. It's Monday. I've had a good weekend. So, and I haven't, my hair's a little bit, I can't wait to go to the hairdresser. So, number 1 is the first part of the 5 steps of saying no with love, right? Is being able to reflect. So, how often have you found yourself in a situation where you've said yes to someone, or you've been coerced into something or manipulated in some way. Good morning, Vicky. You've been manipulated or coerced into saying yes to something or doing something that you really would prefer not to do. Like, you know, a lot of us are, you know, have that good girl syndrome, as a girlfriend of mine calls it. And so we're conditioned to put other people first. And so through that process, we actually move into this place where we're not actually even sure what we do want. And because it's so buried deep within us that we put people before us so much that we aren't quite sure what it is that we want to choose. I know I've had that challenge. Like, what is it that I want to choose for my future? Because I've never really given myself the opportunity to think about what it is that I choose. And so that's the first part of really looking at saying no with love, is reflecting and being aware of what it is that you choose in the moment, and reflecting on the times, like going back, maybe journaling or something like that, and looking at when it has been that you've said yes to something, or you've been coerced or manipulated into something that you really didn't choose. And you worked it out later, because often we go, yeah, that's okay, I can do that. And then on reflection, we go, you know what, that wasn't really what I wanted to do, or I feel like I let myself be manipulated into that, or something like that. So go back and reflect on times that you know that you've said yes when you really felt in your gut to say no. That's the first thing, is to be aware of and reflect, right? The second part of that is, when you're going through that reflection, is to breathe. It's really important for us. One of the things in when I'm teaching women, and when people become my clients, one of the things is to breathe, and like what I call the first breath, right? So you're breathing, you go, and you're just breathing out all the stuff that it just doesn't serve you anymore. So it's unconscious patterns that you get caught up in, emotions that get trapped inside your body, all of those things. And so when you breathe, you're actually grounding your energy into your body, so your spirit can be in your body instead of half in and half out. And when it's half in and half out, your ability to access wisdom and memory and information and language that you choose to speak out, all of that actually is, to access it is not available as easily, because you're half in and half out of your body. So when you breathe, and you can bring all of that energy back into your natural being, back into your physical body, and you've got access to those memories, to that language, to all of the things, your wisdom, right? So that's the second part, is really breathe into who you are. And the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more it becomes natural. For those that have watched some of my Facebook lives, breathing like that is a natural state for me. And so there's a Facebook live a few weekends ago where I'm on a beach, and I was just reflecting and like talking, basically talking and reflecting on my life. And there was some stuff going on with my mum at the time, and so I started bringing up my mum, and emotions started coming up for me through that process. And afterwards, I've been sharing that with my clients to go and watch that, because what happened was, as the emotions were coming up, I just naturally breathe, because when you're breathing that energy out, is not that it will stop the emotion from coming up, because emotions are natural and a good way of healing or releasing. What happens is the part that is unconscious information that you've held through previous sabotage beliefs or memories, or even historical heritage lineage, that like it's just the way your family has normally reacted, so generational stuff. You can actually help release it in the moment by breathing it out. And so you're breathing some of that information out so that it's not getting caught up in your cells. And you'll watch, if you do decide, hey Deborah, if you do decide to go and watch that Facebook Live, you'll see that I still had tears in my eyes. I still had emotion. However, I was able to talk and still be present with everyone on Facebook, and I let that energy out so it was not getting caught in my body. It's a really, really good way to connect with yourself and to understand your wisdom, because you're grounding that energy into your body. And so you can access your wisdom, the energy, your intuition, right? Okay, so number three is to choose. This is a big one for women, right? Can you choose what you desire? YOU, what you desire in your life. Can you choose your own desires? So how do you prefer to live? Again, some time to reflect, an opportunity to journal. We're looking at, we're putting this in perspective, right? So we've done number one, where we've looked and reflected on times that we've said yes to things or felt like we were manipulated in some way, right? So going back to those memories and how you felt in that memory, like it might have even been yesterday or this morning, right? How you felt in that moment. Often your body will give you an indication, because your energy goes low. You sometimes feel disengaged with yourself. You're not in your body. So sometimes people can even feel like on the side of themselves. You can feel numb, because it's an automatic response to say yes when you're honestly would prefer to say no. This goes in with mothers who are saying yes to their children, thinking, this is me just about to rant on you, thinking that you're loving your kids. When you say yes to them, I will do this, this, and this for you, thinking that that's the way to love them. Oh my gosh, that's a big one for us mothers. We as mothers I'm watching my language, guys, would be better off allowing our children to have their own experiences of whatever that might be, because then they can make their decisions in the future from choices that they've made now, whether they were right or wrong choices. They get the opportunity to process from their own experiences, instead of us taking those experiences from them because of our own experiences in the past. I am going to be really protective of my child because I wasn't protected as a kid myself. Is really, really to take that away from having their own experiences and being able to consciously make decisions of right or wrong for themselves can be so detrimental to them in their older years. The choices, making choices. I know I was a child that didn't get choice. And so I remember the very first I went to a business training and she was doing a timeline planning thing. And she said, okay, write down everything we want in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15, in 20. I was able to write out a few things for 1 year. Yeah, a few for 3 years, maybe 2 for 5. Oh my gosh, could I even think that far in the future? It was beyond me, and it made me realize how I needed to like choose for myself and make some decisions for myself. Very different now. It was something I had to learn. And so what is it that's going on in your body when you look back at the previous experience and the choices that you made and didn't make by saying yes? How did that make you feel? And are you going to choose to feel that for the rest of your life? Are you going to feel unworthy, undeserving, insignificant? Are you going to choose them over somebody else's experience? Are you going to allow people to manipulate you? Are you going to be coerced? Are you going to be downtrodden? Are you going to be powerless in your life? And really good question to ask yourself now, right now, do you feel that that is what you deserve and that there's no other way? And that the other way is way too hard, so you'd prefer to just keep the pattern, the self-sabotaging, self-limiting beliefs, because it's too hard to move out of that? Really, really, really good question to be reflecting on, especially seeing we've just moved into a position in our lives with things breaking down. Who would ever think that we would go through something like COVID as a whole world? I didn't. I knew I was here for something. I've always thought that there was something big coming. I thought it was going to be 2012, and that didn't happen. Well, it did, but on a spiritual level, not anything physical. So when this happened, I was like, yeah, this is part of it. I know that there's more to come. This is a breaking down of patterns. Are you going to stay in the third dimensional powerless game? Or are you going to make the choice of why you came down here, to break that pattern, that generational curse, that information that does not serve you? Are you ready to move into that? Some really deep reflecting as we move into 2021. Are you ready, or are you willing to move out of that, even if it's freaking scary? Okay, so take some time to go back into that decision that you made before, a couple of things that you wrote down or will write down. Look at those choices that you made and reflect on what you would prefer to experience instead, and write down what you would prefer to experience. If you had said no, how would that look? And I'm asking you, I'm just looking at the chat here, someone's put up, I am ready to move out and shift the patterns that I have found myself comfortable in. Well done. Woohoo. What a declaration that one is. That's awesome. That needs to be written down somewhere so that you can look at it on a regular basis and declare it to yourself every morning. That's so good. Well done. What was I saying? I loved that statement, and it's taken me into this powerful place. So be aware of how things were feeling. That's what I was going to say. When you're writing down this reflection, right, of being able to say no in that scenario, the key is to be writing down from a powerful I am statement, from a powerful position, instead, because right now you're choosing from those sabotaging beliefs still, right? And so you could quite easily write down, I said no, and the other person blew up, and and everything went into disaster mode and I felt even worse and blah, 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 right? You could definitely go into that place from sabotage beliefs. However, I'm suggesting to you to write down a scenario that's very different when you stood strong in a very gentle way. When you say no to someone, I'm not saying, and you're saying it with love, is not aggressive, is not in that powerless game that we've spoken about before, right? Where it's in the duality still. You don't go from powerless into power and force and aggression back. It's not, it doesn't work. And so, well, it might work in the moment and you might feel really strong and powerful, but it's actually not good for you or the other person. It's manipulation again. So when you get and reflect on those moments and those opportunities to, say no with love, write down a beautiful scenario of the best version of that for yourself and the other person. Write it down as if you can experience it now and you're seeing that I have chosen to say no. And in that moment, the other person stood in front of me and reflected on that because it was a bit different to what I normally say. And we had a pause moment and it gave me the opportunity to explain why I was saying no, and that there may be a different choice if we have a discussion around it. That communication was opened and we had an opportunity to express why I was saying no, and they had the opportunity to share with me why they were asking me in the first place. And this beautiful conversation happened, an opportunity for new level ground to happen and a new understanding and respect to develop in our relationship. And oh my gosh, new worlds arose from that experience. It's so true. Write it down. Give yourself the opportunity to dream that into your reality. Feel it in your body. Lock it in so that you can experience that and know how it feels. So when you do have that experience coming up into your life, then you know what that feeling feels like. You can stand there in that boundary space. I'm just checking the chat again. That was just a thank you, Diane. That was a big unraveling. Like it just was, what do you call that? That's a rampage. Just all came out. Okay, so number 4 is communicate with love. So you've had an opportunity. You've had an opportunity to reflect on what happened when you said yes, how you would have chosen a different path instead. You've written down some of the things of where it would have been better if you'd done had the choice to make a different have a different experience. And so number 4 is communicate with love. So when you have an understanding of what you choose instead, something happens in your energy field. Your energy field is full of conscious wisdom, your conscious wisdom. And so your personal energy field can have some vulnerability to it when you haven't got an understanding of who you are. It can be a bit wishy-washy in places. And so, from a chakra point of view as well, right? I'll leave that till another time. And so when you come to an understanding of what you choose instead in a particular situation, then what happens is it goes into your energy field. It becomes a boundary. There's some more what's the word I'm looking for? Substance in your energy field. There's some more things filled up, some more wisdom placed in there that you can access in that moment when you're feeling the same scenario come up. Yes, I remember this. I remember this feeling. So you become more empowered because it's in your space. It's already in your energy field that you can access. So I've written down here, know that when you make a decision from this place, it gives the other person the opportunity to live their own personal growth and experience too, right? Good morning, Irene. That means it's 9 o'clock. I'm getting close. When you take ownership of your choices, know thyself, as they say, when you take ownership of your choices, you're actually respecting the person in front of you to have their own choices and their own experiences too. Actually, what you're doing is you're not playing God. It sounds crazy, right? However, when you take that opportunity from them and you say yes, when you actually know within yourself that the decision was actually a no, and you didn't do that, you're taking someone else's choice away from them to experience who they are. That's a really big one. Oh, sit with that. Sit with that today and reflect on how many times you've taken away somebody else's opportunity to be themselves and to learn and grow and develop their own innate intuition. Be aware of that. Because when you say no and make the choices that you know innately you should be making or you could be making, you're giving that back to somebody else too. And I am aware that when you're in a position where there has been this, like you may be in a marriage, I have no idea. You could be in a marriage that is 20 years of this powerless, very subtle energy of someone asking you to do something when really you know that you would choose not to do that you're being coerced in some way. And so when I get that to change that pattern is a big thing. However, if not now, when, as they say? Are you going to get to the end of your life and go, man, I should have listened to Elizabeth? I doubt you will. However, whether you'll remember my name or not is another thing. However, I'm sharing with you from my soul to yours as a remembering of who you are. So somewhere there'll be a part of you go, I knew that and I chose differently. And now I wish that I'd stood up and made that decision. And number 5 is be open. Living in the structure of self-sabotaging beliefs and learned behavior takes time to shift, and I get that. So be persistent and know that you're not broken. There's nothing for you to fix. It's actually just shifting that structure into a brand new structure. And that takes a little bit of, there's work to be done around that. It's not something that you can do by yourself. Exactly. I now understand that actually how important it is to have a coach or a mentor. That was not something that was in my reality. Only about 12 months ago or 13 or 14 months ago did I have the realization to move forward and break those patterns. You really do need someone that can coach you and hold your hand through that process. So just my opinion, totally up to you where you want to go with that. So come back to how you prefer to choose to live. Know that you can be and have this. I'm here to remind you that you're bigger than who you are playing now. You are bigger and brighter than who you are playing now. So if you're on the webinar and you would like to stay connected, that is a QR code. Most of us know that. If you've gone out for dinner or coffee, or even Melbourneites know that now, you can press that on your phone. You open your phone on your camera. You open your camera on your phone and you click on that, and it will take you through to my business page, and you can message and we can have a chat if needed. If anything has jumped out at you today and you would like to talk about it. When you say you are not broken, brings emotions up for me, as I always have felt I am broken and need to be fixed in some way. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Hun. I see that you've done that to all panelists. So thank you, Vicky, because we are continuously told that we're broken in some way and that we need to be fixed, and we actually don't. It's the structure that we've been born into that needs to change. Water is still water, whether it's ice, liquid, or steam. The structure is different, however, it's still water, right? So thank you, Vicky, for sharing that. If anyone would like to have a chat, learn a little bit more, talk about your specific concerns at the moment, what's happening for you, put yes please in the chat, and we can send you a booking link for a 30-minute conscious assessment call and discuss what's happening in your specific situation. And for those that I just did a half-day workshop just recently on Saturday called 5 Steps to Consciously Creating What You Desire. And I am having another one on Saturday, December 19th between 9 and 12. So it starts at 9 a.m. Sydney time. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, put half day in here and we'll send you the link so that you get the opportunity to go through and find out. Workshop was great. Thanks, Diane. Yeah, just to find out more about structure and self-sabotaging beliefs and stuff like that. So if that sounds like something that resonates to you, just put in here half day and we'll send you the link. Okay, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. See you for the very last one on Monday next week. 7 steps. 7 steps to raising your, no, we've done raising your vibration, to finding your natural light, something along those lines. So take care, enjoy your week, have some opportunity to reflect on what we've just said. Maybe watch it back when you've got time to do some journaling. This is an opportunity for growth, everyone. Take care, and I will see you another time, next Monday, if not sooner. Bye. Thanks, ladies that are watching on the webinar.